When I first reached out to a lot of really large retailers, because why not go straight to the biggest ones? And, to ask them about becoming partners. And of course, every single one said, no, we don't operate that way. So I had to overcome not just those first no's, but also had to overcome, and educate them on, okay, why does this matter? What's the problem that I'm solving? Why should they care? And what are the benefits for them? So that helped me. Going through that journey helped me just learn a lot about the business development process and those early sales days when you're, as a founder, going and you're pitching your business to everyone. And if I didn't get to any yeses, I would not have a business today. It's been 14 years of Shoppable that would not have existed had I not been able to move past those no's.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. On this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Thanks, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Founders at thanks.com, that's THANKZ.com, with the subject line A Founder's Life, and you'll receive preferred pricing. Now, I'm excited today to be joined by Heather Udo. Heather, thank you for joining. Can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Heather Udo. I'm the founder and CEO of a software company called Shoppable. And at Shoppable, we created universal checkout technology that we license to publishers, to advertisers, to creators, anyone that wants to create a shoppable experience and embed products and a checkout directly on their website.
Thank you. Can you share a little bit about both your journey that brought you to where you are today, and a little more about what Shoppable does with your customers, with obviously a fantastic company name?
Thank you. Yeah. So, from my journey, I started the company out of a personal frustration that I had as a consumer. And it's something that, based on our surveys, 99% of people experience, which is we discover products all around us. But when a consumer can't purchase it, it is extremely frustrating. And for me, I had the experience in a short period of time, many, many times, because I had just moved into my first apartment. I was in my early 20s. This is a while ago, and I needed to decorate it. And I didn't know how to make it feel like a home. So instead of going straight to an e-commerce website, I wanted to find inspirational images and images from interior design websites or Pinterest and interior design blogs. But every time I found a beautiful image of a living room or a bedroom, you couldn't purchase it. It wasn't shoppable. And the process for a shopper to have to find a beautiful image and then try to track down the products seemed like there's just way too much friction. And when you, as the shopper, are the one going into your purse, into your pocketbook and taking out your credit card, you're the one spending your money. We should make it as easy as possible for that to happen. So I was very frustrated because I kept finding great things and I couldn't buy them. And that repeated kind of dead end and frustration led me to say, like, oh my God, I feel like the retailers don't even want my money. Like, I want to buy all of these products. I need to furnish a whole home, and it's so difficult. So what I dug down and kind of went deep in the rabbit hole as a consumer was like, why doesn't something exist that could just make content shoppable and bring the checkout and the products from the retailers to everywhere that a consumer discovers them? So what I realized in doing that is that there was a technology breakdown. There was no technology that existed to make that happen. At best, you had affiliate links, which would, with a click, redirect you over to a retailer's website. But they were often not used. They were often not activated. If they were, they went to outdated products. You couldn't find anything similar. There were so many problems that I'm like, this needs to be solved. So, of course, I, went through a whole journey of, being able to do a lot of research and reaching out to different retailers, reaching out to publishers, and also asking myself a problem, or a question, I should say, that a lot of entrepreneurs do, which is like, am I missing something? Like, why doesn't this exist? Because it seems so obvious. And anyway, so I decided that, this is where I really believed e-commerce was going. So I decided to jump in and to build it. So that's what led me to starting Shoppable. When I first reached out to a lot of really large retailers because why not go straight to the biggest ones? And, to ask them about becoming partners. And of course, every single one said, no, we don't operate that way. You could go to our website and purchase products there. So I had to overcome not just those first no's, but also had to overcome, and educate them on, okay, why does this matter? What's the problem that I'm solving? Why should they care? And what are the benefits for them? So that helped me going through that journey, helped me just learn a lot about the business development process and those early sales days when you're as a founder going and you're pitching your business to everyone. And if I didn't get to any yeses, I would not have a business today. And this I created 14 years ago. So it's been 14 years of Shoppable that would not have existed had I not been able to move past those no's. But to answer, I guess, the second part of your question, primarily, so we sell and license our technology to a lot of different types of companies today. We primarily sell to a lot of the Fortune 500 brands and advertisers. So a lot within like the beauty space, within personal care, some within like consumer health care, pet care, some fashion, but a lot of companies are using it. Some within their ads. So directly when you're watching your favorite streaming commercials and you see like a QR code you can scan, sometimes like, one click to buy. And then other companies are using it on their websites where they're not direct to consumer brands, but they sell in Walmart or Target or, Saks Fifth Avenue, Sephora, and they use Shoppable's checkout to make what looks and feels like a direct to consumer experience.
And talk to us a little bit about what family means to you.
Oh my gosh. Family's so important. I come from a large family. So I have five immediate siblings and then one half brother, or sorry, two half brothers and one step brother. So just massive family. And being raised with so many siblings, like we've just always been really close knit. And it's been just kind of the foundation for even why I started a company in the first place. I started this before I was married. Now I'm married and I have a six-year old and a 7-year old. But I started, one of the reasons why I started it was one, because I wanted it to exist, but also I wanted to build something from nothing that could create, financial freedom for my future family. And I think it's just important and it gives me the flexibility to spend a lot more time with my family. I mean, we used to have an office in Manhattan and we were able to close that down during COVID and move fully remote, which is just amazing. So it's really nice to be able to have that extra time with family and be able to, when my kids get off the bus, I can be here, I can pick them up, I can spend that time with them, helping them with their homework and adjust my schedule on accordingly as an entrepreneur.
It's one of the really nice things that came from COVID.
Yes, one of the nice things for sure.
And what's health look like for you? Whether that be mental health, physical health, nutrition, fitness, what does that look like?
Yeah, for me, we've built a home gym out at our home, and I think it's important, especially both for physical health, but for mental health too, as an entrepreneur, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're getting in the gym, you're doing cardio, strength training, and taking care of yourself because it's good for not just your overall well-being. It helps in like how you present yourself. It also helps in your confidence, and then it helps in dealing with the stresses of being an entrepreneur, the roller coasters of the up and down. So I would say for me, it's time in the gym, strength training, Pilates, still love my Peloton. Another thing from COVID, but I still love that as well.
And what do you like to do for fun?
For fun, I mean, I love spending a lot of time with my family. We have something called Adventure Saturday, which is another thing. Funny, we're talking about COVID so much, but it's something else we started in COVID, which was we just had to get out of the house. But we would every Saturday leave and go on an adventure someplace. And during COVID, it first started like just getting out in the woods and we were still living in the city. So getting out in the woods, taking the kids for walks, getting them out to a field to play soccer. So we're still doing that now. They're usually some of the same adventures, but also sometimes going to the farm, going to a local farm, going in, picking up like fresh produce. Sometimes it's going horseback riding. Sometimes it's going to the kids' soccer games. But it's a lot of time with family. And then I also love, as part of my time when I lived in California, I love wine and I love like wine tasting. And I will occasionally throw blind wine tasting parties, which are really fun. And we usually pick a different country, a different location every time. But that's also really fun.
That's cool. And what does a balanced life look for you? It looks like, especially now you've managed to, post-COVID, work from home and integrate things a bit more. How does that balanced life look for you?
Yeah, for me, I think balance is kind of a misnomer because it's not like a 50 kind of thing, right? But it's about, I like the phrase like work-life integration. It's about finding ways that you can integrate the two as much as possible. So, for me, it means, I have my early mornings where I'm able to go to the gym. My husband's home with the kids, or like in our gym's in a separate building. So he'll stay in the main house with the kids, and then have my regular work day before the kids come home from school. And then once they're here, I block an hour where I wait for them to come off the bus, help them with their homework, they get their little snack, all of that. And then, I bring them back to our office building and they will work on their homework and I can kind of shift back into work. But they also, they also see as an entrepreneur, sometimes mom's working on a Saturday, sometimes she's working on a Sunday, hosting a webinar, whatever it might be. And I think it's good for them to see mom and dad working and to understand it, because I think that there's a lot that they can learn just by being around you too. So kind of seeing both parts of you is important.
I think you're right, especially when you have what I describe as a balanced life, which I think you have, which is that sort of overall balance. It's not a straight
Yeah.
50-50 or 25-25-25, but it's an overall balance. But if all they're doing is seeing you working, and that probably isn't as healthy, but if the fact is they're seeing you working, but also spending time with them, being healthy, whatever it is, then I think, yeah, it's really healthy for them to see that and to understand that. And think it helps them become an entrepreneur at some
Yeah,
point.
for sure. My oldest, my son, if you ask him right now what he wants to be when he's older, he wants to be the greatest inventor that ever lived. So
Nice.
he's got the entrepreneur bug as well.
And what's been a pivotal moment in your life?
One I would say is moving to New York. So I had started my business in San Francisco. I'd gone to college out there, worked in the tech scene, and being able to, one, I had the opportunity to come to New York on a business trip to meet with a lot of the potential early partners I mentioned before. But being able to move to New York absolutely changed my life, I would say, because it put me in the city where all of the major industries are primarily built, and a lot of kind of the key people in those industries that I needed to work with were based. And I was an entrepreneur that came into this field having zero background and zero contacts. And then I was crazy enough to want to build a three-sided marketplace with no context. So for me, moving to New York opened up so many doors because I was able to be in that city, and every networking event that I went to, every conference that I went to, I was meeting people that were already in this industry. And New Yorkers are inherently networkers, and they really do introduce you to people. They want to make those connections, and having those connections early on absolutely helped bring my business to fruition.
Nice. And what's one piece of advice that you'd give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
To an aspiring entrepreneur, I would say make sure you focus only on an MVP. And a lot of entrepreneurs I see, and I do some coaching for other entrepreneurs now, but a lot of them try to do too much in the beginning. So I would say really focus on an MVP or a minimum viable product when you want to start a business. Like, what is the absolute like smallest form that you would need to prove that your business is viable? And do not skip talking to potential customers when you're validating your idea. I think that's another thing that people often skip over. And we'll say all the time as entrepreneurs, we have a ton of assumptions when we start a business, but we're wrong about at least one thing. The problem is we don't know which thing. So, in going out and being able to talk to potential customers, that is going to help you as an entrepreneur understand what their actual needs are, what their problems are, how are they trying to address those needs today, what works about the ways they're addressing them, what doesn't. So, ask those series of questions and then use that to help refine your MVP before you even write a line of code or before you even launch anything. So that would be my advice.
And how can people find you?
The best place to find me is probably on Instagram, which I'm at Heather Udo number one. So at Heather Udo one, or on LinkedIn, Heather Udo.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Leo.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and please leave a review.